I don't know a single Muslim that is not completely devastated by what's happening in Gaza and Palestine right now. And I don't know a single Muslim in this country who wouldn't want a better future for us as a community. But unfortunately, brothers and sisters, 50% of our 4 million Muslims in the UK, we talk a big game, but we will not be able to actually affect anything because we are not registered to vote. And the registration deadline is on 18th of June. We're talking days. And you know why I care deeply about this, brothers and sisters? Because this will cost our community at least £35 billion. And I will explain exactly how very shortly in this video. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Does engaging politically ever make a difference? Here's a picture of me with a number of other campaigners handing in our letter to 10 Downing Street last year. We were campaigning for halal student loans, also known as alternative student finance. This was promised to the Muslim community back in 2013 by David Cameron, and it took sustained effort over 18 months from this group in the picture and several others to get the government to actually agree to honor its promise. And now, alhamdulillah, it is actively implementing the alternative student finance program. So lobbying works, and lobbying the right people works. Engaging politically works. And notice the MP, by the way, in this picture. He is Stephen Timms, an MP of East Ham, one of the most densely populated Muslim constituencies across the country. There is a reason he wants to champion this cause and not other MPs, because he knows that his constituency will love it. And folks, we complain about how much influence other groups that perhaps we don't necessarily agree with have over government and policy. If they can do it, so can we, but we need to be able to engage first. Today, 50% of our community, who are under the age of 25, by the way, 2 million people, have a genuine hope of going to university without having to compromise on their faith. So this is just one small example of how engaging politically can massively help our community. In this election, just like halal student loans, there are many other vital issues that will cost us financially dearly if we are not making this claim front and center for our politicians, if we are not an active member of the electorate who are going to vote. So let me start with the first issue, alternative student finance. Yes, I know I said it was a done deal under the Tories, but now with the elections, Labour may yet decide to axe the policy. It is, inshallah, unlikely at this late stage, but we don't know. And that's why we must hold our local candidates to account on this. Now, if it is axed, 330,000 Muslim students will be affected, and a further estimated 25,000 or so will not go to university, or will not go to as good a university as they could have done because they wanted to keep the cost low. And did you know that a university degree adds approximately 100,000 of earning potential to a graduate? So that it is costing our community as a whole 2.5 billion in future earning potential every year we don't have halal student loans. The second issue is that a third of Muslims do not have a pension, and half of those who do have it in haram funds, and they wish they had another option to switch to. This lack of Sharia compliant pensions will cost the UK taxpayer, not just the Muslim community, the UK taxpayer, £13 billion over the next generation. So everyone is suffering, not just us. And we need to pressurize all of the candidates across the country to make a simple promise. Ensure that Islamic pensions are actually available across all workplaces, and ensure that more Islamic funds are put onto these pension schemes rather than the entire community's pension pot being sat in one HSBC fund. I mean, what a joke that is. The third issue is that Muslims form 5% of the civil service and the NHS, and yet 0% of their pension money, which is managed by the civil service and NHS pension, is actually invested in Islamic funds. Why is this such a big deal, guys? Because where money is invested determines where the world sees growth. So if Muslim pension money, i.e. mine and your money, is not actually coming back at all to the Muslim community, our investments are effectively growing the economies of the USA or the share price of some large corporate somewhere. And what that means is that 400,000 Muslims work in the public sector. That comes to £13 billion of our money that could be deployed into our communities that are supporting Islamic home ownership, Muslim entrepreneurship. We have a severe shortage of affordable home finance. We have a severe shortage of affordable and accessible business finance. To give you a sense of what could be possible, just with this £13 billion that we're talking about, we just need £1 billion more every year to completely solve the Islamic mortgage issue. You know, we talk about expensive Islamic mortgages and there's not enough of them. £1 billion of that 13 billion could completely solve all of that. Why are we not talking about this and shouting about it from the rooftops? Why on earth are half of our community not registered to even vote? And do you know what the difference is between a homeowner and a renter over 25 years? In places like London, it can be as high as £300,000. So let's assume this additional funding that we are going to be lobbying for will get us 20,000 more people on the housing ladder in 10 years' time. You know what that means for us as a community in additional wealth? £4 billion. We're leaving that on the table. And I've not even touched on the incredible benefits of financing businesses from this pension money. You're talking about tens of billions of pounds extra of additional wealth that is going to be created through that. And I've not even priced that into this video. The fourth issue is that Muslim sounding names and Muslim heavy areas are being discriminated with higher insurance premiums by insurance companies. The Sun and other newspapers did an analysis on this. This is just not on. It's unacceptable. It's discrimination, and nothing, it seems, is done about it. Assuming that 2.5 million Muslim drivers are affected and it's causing on average a £25 worse treatment, we're looking at a bill of 62.5 million that is going out of our community's pockets unfairly, and no one's doing anything about it. The fifth issue is that the UK government spends around £900 million every year on overseas aid. A chunk of that goes to Muslim majority countries already. For example, 70 million goes to Palestine. But with some lobbying and education, that amount can and should be increased to a much greater number for those countries that need it most. So by us voting, we aren't just improving our own financial outcomes, we're doing it for Muslims globally. And yes, we might get very emotional, and rightly so, we donate about £1 billion in Ramadan every single year. But by being strategic, we can actually significantly increase that donation by also voting and getting politically engaged. And look, financial issues are what I know best because that's my expertise. But this is just sadly scratching the surface of what our community needs right now. I haven't talked about health. I haven't talked about housing. I haven't talked about the foreign policy or the security and policing situation. I haven't talked about any of those things. A great organization that is pulling together all of the pledges across all of the different areas is the muslimvote.co.uk. And I would highly encourage you to check them out and consider what the policies and pledges are that they are putting forward. Each of these, in my humble view, incrementally improve our quality of life and outcomes as a community. No, it is absolutely not. But just like going to school isn't automatically going to land you a dream job, so too is voting. We must be on the pitch and voting in order to have a chance to get all of these policies actually implemented. Just like you need to go to school if you are going to be in with a chance of getting a great job. If a kid doesn't want to go to school and he says to you, look, I don't want to go to school because I'm not guaranteed a dream job, you're going to give him a clip around the ear and say, no, that's a silly argument. The same applies in this situation. And guys, I'm not here to have a religious argument with you about the halal and harams of voting. All I will say is that pretty much most of the mainstream scholars in the UK have come out publicly in favor of voting. And even if you feel that voting is theoretically wrong and won't really achieve anything, just trust me on this one and do it this once for your brothers and sisters in Palestine, if nothing else. There's no harm in trying. You now need to do 3 things. First, register to vote, and do this as soon as possible because the deadline is the 18th of June. Number 2, you need to get others to register to vote. Get all of your family to register to vote. And finally, sign up to the muslimvote.co.uk. This is an initiative that IFG and many other Muslim businesses and organizations and NGOs are supporting, and we love the fact that they're calling to unity and coordination as a message at the heart of it. I would definitely, if you're not sure about who you should be voting for, they have a search function on the website, so you can actually check out who they are saying that the Muslim community should be voting for in each of the different constituencies around the country. And I would encourage you to learn from that and follow that guidance. Brothers and sisters, let's do our bit for our community. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.